Hello everyone, Leaf Reed here, and today I have Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So apparently this is actually one of the original mystery novels, and apparently, according to Wikipedia, I think the fifth best-selling book of all time. And it's easy to see why. This is a very, very fun read, and I heavily recommend it to literally any level of reader. Even if you're very early in grade school, I think this is an appropriate novel, even for grade school children, because it's very enjoyable. The plot is a standard murder mystery. 10 individuals are invited to a island by a rich philanthropist who they seemingly never meet, and one by one they are murdered. And the story is about finding out who is the murderer, who is this mysterious wealthy stranger, and of course finding out how all the other seemingly unrelated characters are in fact very related. And I think what makes this novel so endearing is the level of misdirection and active reading that takes place. So for example, the misdirection is that, you'll have one character who is an ex-general, and there are certain signs or names or implications that there's something maybe militaristic going on. There's, in the beginning they talk about, who has bought the island. They range from mysterious ideas from Hollywood actors to the government to other strange third parties, and also each story has each character has a different motivation and a backstory for wanting to be there, and their relations. And not to give too many spoilers, but in the opening act, what happens is that each character is accused of murdering someone in the past. So now they're all brought here, and apparently they're being killed for their past repercussions. So now you're wondering, okay, so who has the motivation to kill whom? Who is the most untrustworthy? So you're always wondering, what they're waiting for the character to slip up, and you think that every little thing that a character does might be an indication that they're the killer. So that's why it's this form of active reading where reading this book feels more like playing some kind of game, and the author has given it to you. And it's very entertaining because it's always kind of leading you towards a certain conclusion and then immediately swerves you away. It's planting little things in your mind where you're constantly reading this thinking, well, if I were in this situation, I would have done this. And in a way, it's the most interactive book I've ever read. It feels more like a game or a simulation, but one you play alone, and you can really only play once, because once you know the outcome, that's kind of it. And my personal theory is that while the outcome is what it is in this book, there were so many fascinating and interesting thoughts and my own stories I could weave just as side stories, as other possibilities for the ending of, or you can conclude that each character in this novel has a motivation to be the murderer. And I actually even took the time afterwards to write down a little notepad and a little post about, every single character and their possible motivation and how they would have done it. Every single character has a possible motivation. And well, of course, the book is very short. It's, let's see here, it's just under 300 pages. This is a very short read. You are not going to want to put it down, and it's one of the 5th best-selling books of all time for a reason. Maybe it's not quite as well known for that, because the title did change. Researching this book and what it was originally called in the 1930s might shock you a little bit, but things have been updated for modern audiences since the 1980s, and while some things have changed, the content and the character of the book have not. This is an amazing novel. I would rate it 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. An absolute classic, and recommended to anyone. Really, truly a great classic. Anyway, if you haven't read it, you should. Anyway, that's all. And as always, keep reading.